morality is like if you're part of a religion and there's a lot of like moral rules and stuff, I think it creates a lot of times this like complex for people where they want to check the boxes to be a good person instead of considering the effect of their actions and, you know, having a larger social understanding of quote unquote morality. Like, I'm not truly immoral or advocating for immorality. I'm saying that morality has a point, and you should be focused on the point rather than having some kind of kind of being what's the word? You know, handcuffed to some kind of abstraction that may or may not be relevant to your situation. You know, and that's kind of the point of the whole thing. You know, like the Mosaic Law, which is basically just the law of Hammurabi anyways, is, you know, it's just that, it's a law. It's, you know, meant to herd the plebs so that they don't, you know, fuck around too much or something. You know, that's all it is. It's not like, you know, that it's not really, I think, as ultimate as people want to believe. And, you know, I think that even people that aren't Christian will still kind of have this Christian-esque feeling that, like, okay, there's these rules that we just can never ever break, and there's no, what's the word, there's no, exceptions or anything. And then, you know, psychology becomes religion, conspiracy theories becomes religion, science becomes religion, and, you know, none of these things are strong enough to give us a list of rules as people that are, you know, actually going to be ultimate. They're actually going to work in every scenario. You know, I think we should protect children and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about more like to give an example. If people do X, Y, and Z, oh, they're a narcissist, red flags, blah, 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 blah. You know, you kind of just have to be sensitive and discerning in the spirit in a very general sense, you know. If you feel like your relationship with someone is, you know, really bad, and it's not going to get better, and you're just wasting time, you know, yeah, look for a way out. For sure, you know. On the other hand, I think some people will have like a perfectly good relationship, but then they'll be exposed to all kinds of, you know, like anti-narcissism content online, and then suddenly, you're a narcissist, you know, you're dimming my light, stuff like that. And, you know, I've had some experiences like this, so I'm kind of speaking from that, but, you know, I think to some extent there's a little bit of negativity that having like all these hard rules brings in. And it's not like, I think Christianity especially has this thing where there's a lot of strict rules, and then you're almost, I have a feeling there's almost part of the point of it is you're then compelled to break those rules. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's just because they're so strict, and that to actually keep all the rules, you have to foreclose on many of your natural desires. But, you know, like you go into a church, and, you know, the people that look the holiest, you know, the people that they're the holy rollers, they look like they got everything together, you know. Sometimes you find out those people, you know, this guy's fucking his secretary, or, you know, that they drink a lot, or, you know, whatever it happens to be, because, you know, we all have desires, we all have needs, you know, we all are these large multidimensional persons, and I think Christianity creates this format where like we all have to look the same, and that's just not possible. I found with sort of ditching morality, like I have the desire to see other people around me grow. I have the desire to do right by others, but so I don't need to pin that to morality. In fact, I find a lot of the most like quote unquote like people that really focus on morality tend to struggle with it the most. That really focus on like some rules, really struggle with that the most, because it's just if you have a rule, you're sort of, by invoking the rule, by evoking the rule, you're also evoking its opposite. So there's kind of no reason to be picking and choosing all kinds of particulars, because that actually kind of brings in negativity with it. You can just be Zen and be nothing, and nothing will happen. You know what I mean? Because nothing's evoked, and you're not evoking particularly nothing. You're just not particularly evoking anything, and so anything can float into your mind space, and you address it as is, and over time, less and less activity. There's less and less activity, which is very empowering. And this is part of the reason why enlightenment can make people incredibly evil, is because if you're evil from a place that is completely, from a situation mentally that's completely devoid of lust, that's completely devoid of material desire, that's coming from a place that like there's not that much activity in your mind, because you're very Zen through one thing or another. That's a lot of power. Then your mind becomes very powerful because it's not so scattered. And but then such evil people aren't doing something through material desire, and because it's not truly coming through material desire, they can be incredibly effective. So the question is someone like that really, should they be understood to be evil? And that's a thinker. Like a lot of the elites, from what I've been told by my spirits, are like I just described. So that's a question. If someone chooses to do something that is incredibly harmful to someone else, but they're not really drawn to do it, it's more like it's more for them. They're consciously adding to a system that's beneficial to them. So, they're empirical about it almost, or maybe empirical is not the right word, but they're in the laboratory making. Their life is the laboratory, and they're making choices dispassionately. And this is some of what the Naga have shown me. On Earth, we have the Black Naga. Higher than that, we have I think the Black Naga actually live here on Earth. And higher than that are like many colors of Naga and their own civilization on another realm. And I talked to those Naga, and they explained some of this to me. But yeah, this is also why secret societies a little bit are like breaking down, like quote unquote, the Judeo-Christian ethic and things like that, just because I have a sense. Well, first of all, I'm not sure they're trying to break it down. Maybe it looks that way. There seems to be some genuine attempt on the part of quote unquote the elite to make us more developed in a way. To make us more evolved, to help us evolve as souls, we the people of the world. So there's a little bit of that, but they just don't, like, when you watch something from Hollywood, to some extent they're making that stuff for themselves, you know. So it's really complex though to talk about these things, and I don't know all. I've just been showing some little insights, some little windows into this. So I think that the elite kind of want us to know about them, kind of want to explain themselves. Like the film Midsummer. Okay, the film's out now, and if they wanted to suppress it, it would actually look weird. And they don't have to suppress it because a lot of people in the past would be like, "That's not. What do you mean? What are you bullshitting? You know, it's just a movie." But you know, at this point, it's not really like that anymore. I mean, were they thinking that way when they made it, and now they're like sweating? I don't think so. I think there is a genuine attempt to explain themselves and see, you know, what people think. I'm sure there's some maliciousness wrapped up in all of that. I was told that basically, so the multicolored Naga told me that basically the Earth is under probation, and so quote unquote, you could say like the Archons are our probation officers, and that's kind of the way of it. So that was interesting. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So also I think some of the thing with morality. I guess one last point I'll make about morality is that it kind of implies that you want to judge others to keep everything stable. Because if one rule's broken, more rules could get broken, you know. And that sort of creates a society of, you know, everyone criticizing each other, which nothing gets done. We're all criticizing each other. That's kind of like negativity, you know, like almost like Matt Black mentality. Like someone did something terrible, so now it destroys the social fabric. Whereas, you know, you could take a good view of things and see the best in others. So there's a little bit of that to it too.